Here I am. I actually had a weekend off. I feel like I've been gone a month. Anyway, I'm back, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but with Sean O'Malley winning on the weekend, and this clip popping up on my timeline, I thought this was a perfect follow-up in the Cam Bradley Martyn fight series that we've been doing. A few days ago, Sean O'Malley went on the Bradley Martyn podcast, and Bradley, he can't help himself. He had to ask Sean who would win in a street fight between them two. Roll the clip.
I feel like everyone would really be mad if I don't ask you this question. Or they'll be mad when I ask you this question. Either way, I think you know what question is coming next. Because Steve asked me this on his podcast, and I was like, that's a tough one. Who wins in a street fight, me or you?
Street fight.
In my opinion, is it in a basketball court or is it in a cage?
A street fight. Well, yeah.
Well, no, we got space.
A lot of space.
I don't know.
Now, this is something that we haven't discussed in this series. The environments that they're fighting in. Why didn't you think of that, Sean? This is actually one of the biggest factors to consider when we're talking about skill versus size.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, somewhere on
if it's not like somewhere super, like a room like this, I wouldn't like my odds as much. But like a wide open space, I'm 100% not gonna get as tired as you. It would be very hard for you to just grab a hold of me. I've been defending that for the last 12 years, not letting people grab a hold of me, but no one has tried as strong as you.
So when we think about it, if it's a fight in a small room, then there's going to be less available space for Sean to move around in. And what is one of Sean's biggest weapons? It's his movement, of course. So if they were to fight in a small room, then yeah, Bradley would have a bigger chance of closing that distance and being able to grab a hold of Sean. But even still, there is a lot of things that can happen in those transitions. Now, if it was a big open space, the advantage, of course, goes to the smaller, more skilled fighter. This is something that Joe Rogan has often talked about, that if the UFC fights were on a big basketball court or on a football field and had just one round, unlimited time, then that mimics reality the most. And I think we'd see a lot of MMA fights go completely different.
I also think they should be fighting on a football field.
I know you still
really
want that
do.
fantasy.
Fuck
of,
that cage. Fuck that cage. The cage just gets in the way, and it also
now guys know how to fight in the cage.
Oh yeah,
completely.
They know how to use it. They know how to put their back against the cage to get back up.
Like if the UFC suddenly threw ropes out there, people would be like, "What?
Right?
I don't know how to fight anymore," because you're so used to takedowns on the fence.
Well, if you go to Pride, ropes are not the way either, because guys would get caught up in the ropes and push you back in.
Dragging them back. I'm like, this isn't good either.
That's not good either. I think not even a platform, just like a flat surface, but
like a basketball court.
Yes, like a basketball. If you can play basketball in a court, why can't you have an MMA fight in a court?
No mats? Or you like the idea of
you have to have
because
mats.
then you're just going to break bones.
Yeah, you break bones, and also head kicks. When guys go down, their head bounces off.
Yeah.
I fought on a lot of basketball courts.
Yeah, if that was the case, then the smaller, more skilled fighter would be able to use their movement to evade the bigger guy. Here's a quick fun story that relates to this. My first fight in school was against a lad who was from Saudi Arabia. He was absolutely huge. He was taller than me. He was thicker than me. His head was like a cinder block. Big, thick wrists, massive hands. He looked like he was about 32. We ended up having an argument, so I offered him a fight. After school, under the tunnel. We had a few of our close mates there as witnesses, and I was absolutely crapping myself because he was so big. Now, although I'm trained in martial arts, and I was at that time as well, I was completely confident in my skills, but this was my first proper arranged fight, and the kid was massive, so regardless, I knew I had to use my movement to evade him. I threw the first attack. As he came towards me, I hit him with a front kick. He was a little bit shocked. He held his chin and then he walked to me again, and I hit him with another front kick, and that's what got him really angry. So then he chased towards me with big swinging punches and trying to grab a hold of me, just trying to close that distance. But I was just moving back out of the way and then side to side laterally. And he said that I was running away. I remember clearly saying to him, "I'm not just going to let you punch me, am I?" And the key when fighting someone bigger is don't let them walk you down and trap you. I ended up blitzing him with 4 straight punches. His head was down and then he looked up, and that's when I noticed his nose was just completely mangled, obviously broken. There was tears coming out of his eyes and his face was just a mess with blood everywhere. He clearly couldn't fight anymore, and I actually said sorry and shook his hand. I just felt bad. But the key to me winning that fight was my movement and then speed.
But even if you did just grab a hold of me, there's other issues you got to worry about. Don't let me fucking grab your neck at all. Don't let me take your back. I could probably, I honestly, I got a couple little takedowns that I'd probably be able to get to your back and choke you. That's how I would have to. I have to guess.
That's what I said in my last video on how to fight Bradley Martyn. It's a full breakdown, a full guide on how to do it. If you're interested in this size versus skill debate, go and watch that video. There's a lot that can happen in those transition spaces. So even if Bradley grabs Shaun, there's still knees, there's elbows, there's submissions, which can still happen and disrupt Bradley's main plan of
crush his head on the floor.
The streets are different though. You get his back, he can slam you on the concrete.
That's true.
It's
That is
so
true.
different.
You jump backward and slam me. I'm not in a good position unless I don't know. That's a good point. I wouldn't want to test it. I wouldn't want to fucking do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it either. I like you a lot.
The streets are different, there are no rules. But as I said in the last video, there's no rules for both fighters. The lighter, more skilled fighter can do everything that the bigger person can do, but with 100 times more skill and technique, as well as knowing more techniques total. And the skilled fighter can also fight dirty. And come on, Bradley, don't be all talk. When are we going to see you in the ring or the cage?
It would be scary. I would be scared. I'd be like, but that would also probably make me more dangerous, being like, if it's actually life or death.
Yeah, that's
I feel like I'd like to think I have the skills to be able to kill you.
yeah.
But
Yeah, you should.
but I would also
And you have a daughter,
want to
bro.
find out. Yeah, and I got something to live for. I'm like, I got a fucking family I got to feed. But
The adrenaline that you have in street fights would certainly make you fight harder. The thing is with Shaun is that he doesn't have to worry about going 5-minute rounds. The likelihood of a street fight going past 1 minute is extremely low. So in knowing that, Shaun could actually fight harder, knowing that his cardio isn't going to be a problem. His endurance will hold up even more so than in the UFC, because he only really needs a good solid 1 or 2 minutes to end the fight.
yeah, I wouldn't like to find out. You versus Tim would be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tim's obviously way bigger than me.
How much you weigh?
Still smaller than you.
About 200.
Yeah. You're very skilled though.
Yeah, Tim can he can box. He can
For Bradley, it'd have to just be like, he's so strong and explosive and powerful. People think you're like some clunky bodybuilder.
Yeah, I noticed
Seeing
that.
you race 6'9", though, I was like, that motherfucker can move too.
Tim's around 190 to 200 pounds and actually a pretty skilled fighter. I know he doesn't look it, but he really is. When you see clips of his fights, you see where Shaun got his style from. And he's pretty thick too. Brian Callen was almost able to out-grapple Bradley Martyn, but Brian couldn't do anything against Tim.
Let me handle business with this punk first.
You got him.
What's up, bro? Guess here we go.
Wow. You the California guy, huh?
We see this right there? That's after getting out of the fucking car.
Step in the range. Don't step in the range.
What the fuck, dude? What the fuck, dude? Oh, he got me. But see this? See this right here? See that right there?
See that?
There it is right there. And then I base out like that. I keep my hands here. I know, but look at how I'm here. Look at how I'm here. Look at how I'm here.
Let's go.
Jesus, you look thick as shit.
Let's go lift.
What are you wearing? What are you weighing right now?
What am I? 193.
You're like fucking Samson.
Obviously, they were just joking around here before people say in the comments, oh, they were just playing with each other. This wasn't real. So anyway, Bradley fighting Shaun, who's 140, 150 pounds in the off-season, versus grappling a skilled fighter in Tim, who's 200 pounds, is a completely different ballgame. So Tim versus Bradley, I would favour Tim in that fight all day.
But I did see you swing that baseball bat. You ain't got the hips
Okay,
like
well,
that.
It was a little Femi.
Wait
It was
a second.
little
That
Femi.
was a little gay. People underestimate like how strong you really are because
But athletic too.
and athletic. Yeah, it's a fucking dangerous combination. I would rely on you try to get your heart rate up and
Yeah.
You'd have to just defend yourself for a while, wait till he starts
Throw
to
a couple-
spike, makes a mistake, and then
try to stomp his knee, maybe kick him in the gut a little bit,
Yeah.
run though. Yeah, but if you grab a hold, I mean, it's not. I would not want to be there for sure.
he's gonna slam you.
Yeah, because you could definitely like pick me up. I heard.
I'd have to get to his legs, start tearing up his knees.
Yeah, definitely. Try to take your ankles out.
I'm glad that Shaun said he'd stomp his knee here. That's exactly what I said in the last video. So I must be as good as Shaun, and we've both got the same name, but I spell mine better. But with those knee stomps, you could hinder his movement. Alongside that, if you can tire Bradley out, as they said, let his adrenaline dump, a few low kicks, and the pendulum will heavily swing into your favour. And we know that Bradley is extremely strong and athletic, and Shaun isn't a small guy either. He's 5'4", 5'11". Now, he does have a very narrow frame, but as we spoke about in the Shizzy video the other day, it's still quite possible to add a lot of mass onto a narrow frame. I've got more of a narrow frame and I've managed to pack myself out a little bit. For example, Conor McGregor, he's kind of got a little bit of a narrow frame, but when you look at him a year ago when he was absolutely jacked, he doesn't really look that narrow then. And also McGregor at 145 pounds in a street fight, I wouldn't favour nearly as much as the beefy 200 pound McGregor in a street fight. If you're able to combine the skill, size, strength and power without losing any of the technique, then you've got a winning formula. You're golden. The interesting thing is a lot of these bodybuilders struggle to learn how to punch properly because they already have the mass on them, and it gets in the way of them being able to learn the proper technique. If they learn to fight and then gains the mass, they'd be much scarier and much more capable. And speaking of which, if you want to pack on mass naturally without steroids so you can have more confidence in your physicality when you're walking down the street, then check out my training programs down below. Use code YouTube for 20% off. Right, if I see Bradley Martyn have this conversation one more time without putting the gloves on or testing his skills in the ring or the cage, I'm going to go mad. I know it's just a laugh to him, but we don't really like people talking about how hard they are without having to prove it in some sort of manner. Even if you are having a little bit of a laugh with the conversations, there comes a point when people want to see what you've got. For example, I know I'm going to have to prove myself in the future, my skill versus size theory, but I'm absolutely sound with that because it's not out of the ordinary for me to do so. I just need to get healthy again so I can train. Anyway, comment down below who would win in a street fight between Bradley Martyn and Shaun in an open space. And a big congratulations goes out to Shaun for his win on the weekend. Extremely impressive. I thought that Aljo might have just out-grappled him based on what he done to Olympic gold medalist Henry Cejudo. And he absolutely dominated him, so I thought, well, he's going to do the same to Shaun, if not worse, but Shaun looked great and made up for him. He's an absolute sniper, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for him. Like the video, subscribe for content like this, and I'll see you all tomorrow.